Well, hello, and welcome back to Zach Talks Hawks. My name is Zach, and we're finally here with some Seattle Seahawk content. As you can see right next to me is the 2022 Seattle Seahawks schedule, and I want to break down for you kind of where I feel this Seahawks team's going to go and highlight for you maybe some of the storylines that might become really apparent as Seattle faces off against teams in a season where we're going to see a totally new Seahawk team. I want to buy in to the hype that is behind this team this year. They have a big chip on their shoulder, right? And there's the team's posting on Twitter. They're going out bowling, and things are fun in Seattle again. But ultimately, I think there's one big storyline that is going to hold this team back going into this year. And personally, from my perspective, is coming from a story that we have seen circulating in the NFL, and that is Pete Carroll has given the nod to Geno Smith as opposed to Drew Lock, the quarterback you traded for in the Russell Wilson trade, as the guy right now. Now, this video is going to come out before preseason. Things can change, so I'd like to think I reserve the right to change this. But honestly, these predictions are going to come at the notion that Geno Smith will be the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks going into this year. And if that happens, I really strongly feel that the season for the Seahawks, it's going to turn out pretty ugly. And there's going to be a residual effect, so to speak, coming after this that I want to just talk with you guys. So without further ado, here we go. Boom. There it is. Lots of L's on the screen, but I want to walk you through some of the bigger storylines that I feel might come out of the Seattle season. We're going to make another video talking about predictions and things like that, maybe after preseason. After we get a scope of who the starting quarterback's going to be, we take a look at what the scheme's going to look like, especially offensively. I think defensively, we're kind of where we are. They made that very clear in the draft, but regardless, you're going to take a look here at the schedule. I do think Seattle's going to go 6-11 this year. It's going to be a tough ride for this team as you see that there's hope early and then there's not hope late. And I kind of want to walk us through as to why. This, again, goes off the notion that if Pete Carroll starts Geno Smith, this is how the Seahawks season's gonna unwind and unfold. And I got a feeling that they're gonna lose that Monday Night Football matchup against the Broncos, even if it is in Seattle. I think it's going to be a closer game than what people might anticipate, but ultimately the Broncos are much more talented top to bottom than Seattle is right now. And even with home field advantage, you have a quarterback who's played his entire career in that stadium. I would argue that home field advantage is gone because you have Russell Wilson, who has grown used to the 12s and knows how to audible and knows how to do all of those things. And I don't think the sound will be as jarring for him as what it would be for 30 other starting quarterbacks in the league. As you can see here on the list, I do have Seattle splitting matchups with the Niners and the Cardinals, giving the nod to our home matchups against both of those teams. I just think realistically Seattle's going to take one of two from both of those squads. You can also see on the list they're going to lose to the Rams twice, so no real shock or change there. But as you can see, the first 6 weeks of the season for this club, I do think they have a decent shot of starting at 500. And the reason is because I think we're going to see Drew Lock come in at week 4. I don't feel that Geno Smith is going to be the guy for this team. He's going to do okay, right? He's not going to be the reason why they lose. But I can see really quickly Pete Carroll sort of panicking and going, "Oh, we gotta get Drew in," or maybe Drew wasn't ready quite yet. Now he's ready. He's shown a lot of prep and he's got a lot of fire in him, and I'm fired up about that. The Pete Carroll kind of talk. But I do see Drew Lock taking advantage of the starting role in a matchup against the Lions, and then ultimately fighting a pretty scrappy Saints team. I think that week 5 matchup is a lot closer on paper than what many people would think. But ultimately, I'll give the nod to even a Jameis Winston starting in New Orleans. He knows the system a little bit more versus what will then be a Drew Lock starting in New Orleans. And then you see Seattle flip-flops wins for a little while, right? They through 6 weeks are a 500 team. Through 8 weeks, they're a 500 team. And even through week 10, they're a 500 team. And I do have them taking their matchup in Germany against the Bucs, just simply because of time zone differences. I know for a fact that being on the west coast of the United States, the Seahawks are going to have the upper hand when it comes to matching up against the Buccaneers that have to travel quite a long ways to get to Germany. And ultimately, it's going to be good for Seattle to have that time zone advantage. And I think that's really, really going to show up no matter who the quarterback is. I actually think Seattle takes that game if it's Geno Smith starting or if it's Drew Lock starting against the Bucs in Germany. But regardless, as you can see here on the back end of this schedule, it takes a nosedive, and it takes a nosedive pretty quickly, and I want to explain. At this point in the season, Seattle's a 500 team, right? So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losses and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins. And ultimately, I can see the pressure getting to Drew Lock as the guy in Seattle. Now, he's only been starter, according to this, since week 4. And I think that pressure might get to him. I think the wheels might fall off. And what I don't see is Pete Carroll going back to Geno Smith if something like this trajectory starts to happen. Now, for some of these matchups, Seattle's just going to lose based on defense. They're not going to lose based on the quarterback position. I actually think with them running the football, their offense is going to be a little bit more consistent. You're going to know what you're going to get out of this team by halftime. And some of these games, in my mind, are going to be fairly close. Like, they always play the Panthers really hard every year, no matter where they go. And that one's at home. That was kind of a toss-up for me. The January 1st game against the Jets, again, at that point, I just think that the season's gone. You have a team that is just defeated, and they don't have a lot to play for at the end of the season. And again, losing to the Rams twice is going to be, in my opinion, a foregone conclusion from this squad. But it's going to get real ugly. And if Drew Lock starts the season as the number 1 quarterback, I can see this changing, right? I can see them picking up a win maybe in 2 out of those 3 toss-up games. So the New Orleans game, the Jets game, the Panthers game. You pick 2 out of 3 of those, and now you're looking at 8 wins. I just got a feeling that that's the ceiling for this team this year. The quality of opponents is so good. You're playing the AFC West this year, which is stacked from top to bottom. If you can take a look here on the schedule, how do they fare against the AFC West? Well, they lose to the Broncos, they lose to the Raiders, and they lose to the Chiefs, and they lose to the Chargers. I don't think Seattle takes any one of those games no matter who's at quarterback, that division is the best in football this year, and it's a terrible draw for Seattle going into the year. Now, where you can rally some hope again is your NFC opponents that aren't in division. You're going to play the Lions. You're going to play the Saints, which is a toss-up game. You're going to play the Giants, which I think Seattle should win that game. I feel that the Panthers is a very winnable game. The Jets is a very winnable game. But how many times have we seen in recent memory Pete Carroll lose very winnable games? And it's not because of the talent on the team, it's because of how he coaches. So it's going to be a telling year, in my opinion, for quarterback play, but it's also going to be a very telling year for Pete Carroll. We remember Pete Carroll before Russell Wilson. Are we going to get that guy? Or are we going to get a guy who has made a commitment to run his offense and to be a bruiser defensively in terms of schematics? I don't think that's going to happen. It's just not in the cards, I think, right now for Pete Carroll. But I could be wrong. My hope is at the end of preseason, we can kind of finalize, okay, who are the movers and shakers on this team? What are our draft picks look like? How do we move forward with the scheme that we got? Who is our quarterback? How is Carroll going to use their talents to move the ball down the field? And then defensively, schematically speaking, are you still doing the same boneheaded things that got you in trouble last year? Are you dropping edge rushers back into coverage consistently, which Carroll said he's going to do? And are you going to learn from the past and get better, or are you just going to try to repeat the same thing over and over again? As you can see from my prediction set, it's a little bit more of the same. So I want to hear from you. What do you think the Seahawks are looking at this year in terms of scheduling? Do you think that they're going to be any good? Let me know down in the comments. And if you like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe. We are going to start regularly talking more and more about Seattle Seahawks football. We have ZFL content going on. I have my computer stuff all situated now, so we're back to our regularly scheduled programming. And until we meet again, my name is Zach, and keep talking Hawks.